Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Burt Jones and I, the lieutenant governor, and a couple members of leadership, as we were pushing to update from 5.5A when these vulnerabilities essentially were exposed, we not only had one-on-one meetings with the secretary, but we actually had meetings with Dominion themselves. And we were, in my real life, this state senator thing's a part-time deal. I'm in the software development business, and I've owned a technology company with my partners for 20 plus years. And when we talked to the Dominion team about their lack of white hat testing, and we talked to them about their testing procedures and protocols, it was shocking. Like, it was shocking. We don't write mission critical software per se. But we write video presentation software that's used to run displays at the NFL draft and the Olympics and United States Congress. And so we've got to get it right. And so I know the QA team and the amount of testing that our team does. And when I compared that to the answers that I got when I was asking questions of Dominion, it was pretty shocking. And you know, we're Dominion's largest customer here in Georgia. We're the only state that uses them statewide. And when they released version 5.17 of the software, their testing process was so inadequate that they realized that the no-ink pull pads, which is the check-in pad that we use that gives you the card that you put in the Dominion machine, wasn't compatible with the newest software. I'm like, guys, how in the world does that happen? Like, in what testing environment are you not testing compatibility for your largest customer, your only statewide customer? That's the one you got to make happy. And so I think that some of this just falls to straight incompetence, more so perhaps than even nefarious actors. Some of this stuff is just a low bar that was set. But yes, we met with the secretary. He and I are somewhat at odds publicly because I continue to ask questions. Even this year in the appropriations hearings, I asked questions about his preparation for the 2026 election because he's under a legal mandate to not use the QR code. And I said, what are your plans? How are we going to vote in November? And the answer was, there is no plan, and we don't know what's going to happen. I'm like, sir, it's January. We got to get this rolled out. And so I think probably the days of the one-on-one meetings are over.
We got to ask every American. We talk about this every week. We talk about this every day. We talk about election fraud. And this election fraud is so pervasive across the nation. And here, let's just look at for a minute what is being said here. So this is State Senator Greg Dolezal from Georgia. And he says, hey, listen, Dominion, we're the biggest customer. Now, what happened is Dominion handed this software over to a guy named Lendecker, who owned No Ink. So he's talking about No Ink, and they're the biggest customer, and there was no compatibility on the 5.5 and the 5.17 that they had for the No Ink poll pads and the Dominion system. And what he's saying is, hey, we do compatibility. We do things for the NFL draft. And I'm just going to reiterate this. There's certain things you have to have in order to make sure that you are in a frictionless environment. When you're in software, it becomes super, super important for you to make sure there's no friction. Now, one of the things that I think Greg is missing is that there are whistleblowers that have come out and said that the system was designed to create these flaws. It was designed to create this chaos. There's opportunity in that chaos. And so they can make adjustments in real time, and it doesn't need to be a part of the testing environment, because if it did, then the stored procedures would have been uncovered, and the system would have acted in an anomalous manner, and that would have been a pure indicator to anyone that was watching it that this isn't how the systems were designed to work. But when you take that out, and you have such low, he calls it a low bar. That low bar was set by having election systems manufactured in a foreign country by people that, frankly, I wouldn't hire. So I don't hire people from Serbia. I don't hire any coders. And I have a tech company. My coders are all here in the United States. Why? Well, I can tell you that you don't get quality. And I'm going to get in trouble for this because you're going to have these guys that say, wow, you know, Google's filled with, you know, Indian coders. And I'm like, good for you. But understanding the ethos of what frictionless means, it's just very difficult. There's just not a lot of people out there that understand that. So we, there's a problem that we have with the haves inside of our environment that are leading the charge and destroying our nation. And speaking of that, Rasmussen gave me a bump in calling out the election fraud in 2020. Here you go. Welcome all election deniers. 2020 election fraud researcher accounts to follow now. So you got a bunch of them on there. A couple that I don't agree with, but for the most part, you got some really good people at the top. You got Mark Cook in there, obviously, and some great things. And yeah, so thank you to Rasmussen Poll. All right, we have a guest that I'm going to bring on because but I want to get through a couple things before I do. Larry Loomer. I don't even know which one it is. This is absurd. She put up a post, and I had to comment on it. And you know, listen, there's two things that can be true at the same time. And I wrote a post about this, and we'll probably, I don't know if you guys saw my post, and if it's in here, great. The one that I wrote this afternoon? Okay. So this is FBI Director Kash Patel's girlfriend said that General Flynn, Tucker Carlson, call him Catarlson, Joe Kent and Candace Owens are all tied in a foreign influence operation. And then says, don't we have three-letter agencies that would know for sure? Now, Kash Patel is the FBI director. And let me just tell you how problematic it is for Alexis Wilkins to put up what she did. Go ahead and put up take her thread, the first part of the thread. She said a foreign-linked influence network has been running coordinated operations against the Trump administration for 22 months. I know it's real because they ran one against me. I was targeted in something I knew was far from organic. The level of media is isolating, unwanted, and unwarranted. There was nobody to help, nobody to jump in and say, this is false op, and help me. Well, I don't believe in problems without solutions, so I've spent the last few months learning to build programs to utilize public available information to prove that this is way bigger than me. This is all about creating chaos in the Republican Party. It's all about organized efforts to lose Republicans the midterms and subvert President Trump's agenda. And I have the data for you to see. Okay, let's open it up because I had to go through this and I had to respond. And it says, but by the way, this foreign operation that Laura Loomer is talking about and Alexis is talking about, now Alexis is a coder and she writes programs. So she's been writing programs. But she was a country music star. Oh no, she was an actress. No, she was, okay, I can't keep up. She sued Kyle Seraphin for defamation and used a law firm directly tied to Kash Patel. And she's a 20-something zero, as far as I'm concerned. Never accomplished anything in her life. She sang the national anthem. Good for you. But has created this persona that she's this superstar that she's not. And so it made sense. And by the way, Kyle Seraphin wasn't the only one to say that she was working for Mossad or working for Israel. She acted that way. But it says here, in July 2025, was falsely labeled Mossad spy in a coordinated campaign designed to isolate an official of the U.S. government by using the person publicly nearest to him, me. Across the full operation, July's events and other dating back to 2024, 6 chapters, 22 months, and the data shows 3.1 million retweet engagements. 80% of all activity was pure amplification. 659 accounts retweeted the same post. Some retweeted 1 second apart. 15 pairs retweeted within 10 seconds of each other. When content spreads organically, timing is random. People check their feeds at different moments. She has no idea. She has absolutely no idea how it works. No idea. There is a thing called drift when it comes to when you post something. You post something and it could be up for 30 seconds and it would show 6 seconds, 10 seconds. She's saying that you have 1 second apart. You wouldn't know that. there's no way to measure that you would have 1 second apart. It's not even possible. But this is what happens when you get into this area of embellishment. And when you start talking about the fact that there's foreign information out there to discredit Israel, and then you say that you're not a part of the Israeli deal, and then you make up shit like this that is just insane. Insane. You would never, ever have those. And then you start talking about milliseconds. I think it was in there. Let me see if I was right here. Did it talk about milliseconds? Let me see if this is the one that talks about it. Within seconds. I'm thinking to myself, you just don't know. You don't understand how things work. That's not a conversation, that's a weapon. Okay. Bots retweet quickly, by the way. Real quickly. They'll watch things, grab stuff, and it'll happen really, really quickly. Really quickly. But take this down. So I had to respond. I had to respond because I don't have to agree. I don't have to agree with everything everyone says. But the fact that we've created this seething inside of our society, and we can't have adult, I do agree with some things that some people say. Even Nick Fuentes, who said, I want some adults in the room. We don't have adults in the room. We can't sit down and tactically look at what's happening in our communities and in our country and make a decision based on facts. Wouldn't it be nice if we could? But there's so much bullshit out there that you constantly are walking past the bullshit. It's coordinated. They went after Joe Kent. Bongino went out after Joe Kent. Bongino, I questioned him because he came out after influencers. And yeah, there's a lot of influencers that are on the take. They're broke dick dogs that live in 1-bedroom apartments acting like they're some, celebrity when they walk out in the real world. And frankly, they can't pay attention, let alone pay for a cab to get to where they're going. Put the post up that I said. I said, yeah, it's not true. Stop lying. I don't have to agree with everything these men and women say to know you have a stake in the ground that does not favor the American people. Let me get this straight. You have the FBI director girlfriend who sued an FBI whistleblower for defamation and saying that she most likely linked to Mossad, and then a known ally come out swinging using the woman who is not a country singer superstar, who has no real talent or ability, that came out of nowhere, that swears she is not tied to Israel, attacking all those that stood up for her, not bombing the shit out of innocent people, as being a part of a foreign influence campaign where you run to foreign influence campaign to slander anyone that speaks about innocent people dying. Got it. And I'm not self-loathing and I'm not anti-Semitic, so save yourself the dog whistle tropes. Here's the reality. You think the people are your slaves, and then how dare you speak up for the victims of Gaza, Iran, Lebanon, the list goes on. No one can have an opinion or speak if it's not bowing down to the power structures of Israel and the U.S. lapdogs, which, by the way, does not represent the Israeli people. More actually closely associated with the synagogue of Satan, who have captured the country and people of Israel than anything resembling good. But so much for America first. Let's shit on a group of people who simply want peace and humanity. And yet again, I don't agree with everything they all say, or even all of their stances on Israel. Yet what you're doing is shameful. It's not truth. It's propaganda. It's bullshit from a karaoke pretender and someone who used to not be a puppet. Tell me I'm wrong. I guess we're going to find out if I'm wrong. And let me just tell you something else. This is not a Democrat versus Republican versus Independent versus Green Party versus Libertarian. It is not. I'm telling you right now that the more I have conversations with people who call themselves Democrats, the more I am convinced. I'm convinced, 100% convinced, that our country is divided by shitbags like Loomer, who frankly thinks that somewhere along the line that she's the moral authority. I don't even know where she gets her experience from. I don't. You can say whatever you want about me. People on both sides don't like me. I don't care if you like me. One thing you can say is that I've been uber successful my entire life. My entire life. Go ahead and play this. This is a Democrat.
Name is John Alante McCauley. I'm with a grassroots organization called Flip Philly Red. We're here to offer you something different because you've been voting Democrat for the mayor's office for the past 70 years.
I want this guy
in
on
regards to bill number 250330, or what's part of the Safe Healthy Homes Act, I would like to ask Philadelphia, Are you tired of voting Democrat yet? This is what communism looks like. You work extremely hard to save your pennies, but buy some property and you can't dictate when you want to evict the tenant. Do you really own your property or not? But we know what Philly Democrat politicians love communism for, because they let Comrade Mayor Sherelle Parker raise the communist China flag in the birthplace of America. Tenants can already sue or simply move if it's a problem, but laws after laws scare away independent contractors and create more government-controlled housing. These laws breed entitlement, bad actors, not paying rent, waiting for court dates, squatting on somebody else's property just like Governor Josh Shapiro is doing right now to his neighbors. To the landlords of Philadelphia, when you raise the rents higher up front to cover eviction hassles, I'll understand it. How are you going to tell a small business owner what to do with their own property? How many bad tenants have we seen? Always playing loud music, fighting and harassing neighbors, running drugs out of properties, doing drugs in someone else's property. Are you a small business owner or a caretaker? Are there tenants or are they your children? If the Department of Licenses and Inspections isn't serving good acting tenants properly, then we don't need new laws. We need to restructure the Department of Licenses and Inspections. Over 45 million taxpayer dollars proposed for L&I in fiscal year 2026, and they can't return a phone call? Racist Democrat President LBJ said, I'm gonna have these niggas voting Democrat for the next 200 years. But you can change that in November. Stacey Garrity for governor.
Excuse me.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you. Excuse me. Please don't use that language in these chambers. Have a wonderful day.
I can say what I want.
Have a great day. Next.
Dismissed. He got dismissed. Find that guy. I want that guy on. Matter of fact, I want to go to Philadelphia and I want to sit down with him and I want to build a coalition with him and I want to let's just shit on these Democrat leaders that are just communists, right? That are run by these radical left-wing wingnuts that say black people don't know how to use a computer. That's what you have. You have this communist little thing that wants to control the populace. I want to connect with him. Here's John Thune, the traitor, John Thune, the betrayer of the people, John Thune, the Republican bag man for anyone other than the American people. And here's him talking about he's going to respect the parliamentarian and not overrule her on which parts of the Save America Act are eligible for a simple majority vote. Play it.
If you do pursue reconciliation to pass elements of the SAVE Act, do you commit to abiding by the parliamentarian's advice on what can and cannot be in there or might overrule her if you disagree?
Well, we had, as you know, many conversations with the parliamentarian during the budget reconciliation bill that passed last summer, and I would expect that. That's an iterative process and a back and forth, sometimes trading back different ideas to see what works. But obviously the parliamentarian has a role to play in that process, and in the past we have respected it, and I would expect we would do that.
Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse. Here's Lee Zeldin discussing the fraud up until President Trump came in. They abused the American people. President Trump literally got out there and said, listen, we could literally balance the entire budget on the fraud that's actually taken from the American people. We are nothing more than slaves to them. $20 billion. And here's what the head of the EPA said, which is Lee Zeldin said, confirmed that the NGOs were created right before they received the $20 billion from the EPA. So they could funnel it right back into the coffers of the radical left. Play it.
The Green Slush Fund, $20 billion parked at an outside bank towards the end of the Biden administration, given to just 8 NGOs. These NGOs were created for the first time, many of them just to get this money. And they're pass-throughs. So the EPA entered into this account control agreement with these entities. Treasury enters into a financial agent agreement with the bank, and they design it to tie the EPA's hands behind their back, to tie the federal government's hands behind its back. So when the money goes through the NGOs to subgrantees, many of them also pass-throughs, We don't know where it's going. We don't have the proper amount of oversight. And as you pointed out, it's going to people who are in the Obama and Biden administrations. It's going to donors. It's billions, tens of billions of dollars going through their friends.
At the end of this, what's it like 5% of this money actually goes towards the environment? How much actually goes towards the environment after it's been just stripped out for salaries?
Right, and stripped out for salaries of middleman after middleman going through these multiple added layers. I'll give you an example. On the other end of this, there was one CEO who was serving on the White House Environmental Justice Council for the Biden administration. While she was serving on this council, she was CEO of an organization that applied for and received $20 million. So some people were able to, with the right connections, be on the receiving end of billions of dollars. Others on the other end of this getting tens of millions of dollars, and the federal government not having oversight. And I just mentioned the account control agreements that were entered into at EPA and these prime recipients. They were amending the account control agreements right up to the inauguration. There were amended account control agreements we found January 13th. They amended these account control agreements to reduce EPA oversight and to make it easier for them to pass through the money without getting caught.
How do you feel now? I mean, if you don't feel like a slave, I don't know how you're supposed to feel. I think there's only one way to look at that, and that is that they have designed this entire system to take from us what's not theirs. But there's more. Here's an Oregon ballot measure called the Peace Act. You're going to want to hear this. Play it.
Proposed ballot measure in Oregon is sparking backlash as it could make hunting, fishing, and farming illegal. If passed, the measure would remove exemptions for animal cruelty laws, which currently protects hunting, fishing, farming. And if removed, it could make killing animals illegal in many cases, including hunting, fishing, and livestock slaughter. But the measure's 100,000 supporters argue the bill would modernize wildlife policy and reduce animal suffering. And those are your headlines, guys. Wow, how about that? Unintended consequences? I think not.
Yeah, I mean, just another reason to leave one of those crazy states. I mean, what are they doing?
Beep.
Right. We gotta be
Brian, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Worked up, man. I mean,
Okay, so here's the problem. This is what happens when you have elections that are actually fraudulent. Across the board in every state. There's not a state that we have in this country. There's not a county in this that is not rife with corruption and fraud. The elections are fraudulent. I'm sorry. I think one of the things that they're most afraid of is the fact that Democrats and Republicans both weren't elected. We have no idea. We don't have good voter rolls. We don't have good voting machines. We don't even know what ballots are where and how, and they don't even talk to each other. And you got incompetent douchebags that are literally running things that are talking about, hey, don't worry about it. Trump's not going to win. I made effing sure of it. That was Eric Cooper, Director of Strategy and Security for Dominion Voting Systems. And he spent the last 6 years trying to keep me quiet. And I haven't stopped talking. You want to know why? Because I didn't lie. He did. And here's this. This is the last one before we bring our guests on. Nicole Alexandra Gutierrez Suarez, the transgender illegal alien who raped a 14-year-old boy in New York City, has pleaded guilty to second-degree rape charges. I'm not done yet. He's set to receive only 6 months in prison, which he has already served. This could result in him being released after a sentence date in April. This foreign child rapist needs to be deported. Do not release him back on the streets. This disgusting individual raped a 14-year-old. I can tell you what I think should be done to him. You don't want to know. I don't have any, I have nothing in my heart for people that would hurt other children. So with that says, one of my favorite guests, he's a pretty awesome guy. He's going to be on with us today. He's going to talk me off the ledge after that one. But Mike Ariza, he's a refinement operator, expert in gas crisis advocate. Hopefully we got this deal done with Iran. He's going to give us a better idea of what we're actually up against right now. So Mike, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Joe, thanks a lot.
Bro,
on that one individual, I'll help in case you miss. Unbelievable.
I'd want to do it slowly. So just a shovel and just put the fingers out, and we'll just do it one by one, right?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, California is the microcosm of voter fraud.
You know, it just never gets any better, and nobody believes in it. Democrats, Republicans, they all say the same thing. They find it absolutely abhorrent that we even have to go through this kabuki theater.
Yeah, you know, it's Chad Bianco, one of the gubernatorial candidates, the sheriff of Riverside County. I guess they allegedly have found out that the state counted 51,000 more votes than the county sent to them. So now the county is hand counting the votes.
But they're hand counting the votes, but you have a system that's fraudulent.
Oh, yeah,
we only catch it on the ones we actually double check. And what about the ones with ranked choice voting? And I mean, you have the head of Smartmatic, who LA County uses with Dominion voting systems on the outskirts. Like Riverside is using Dominion, LA County uses Smartmatic. You have the head of Smartmatic that is under federal indictment for bribery and fraud. Dominion Voting Systems got sold to Lendecker, who owned No Inc., who was a complete, I mean, the amount of fraud that's connected to those two companies is unfathomable. They're doing a public good. They can't even get that done. We dig into it, which I don't know of any county that hasn't had a problem. And we're still talking about this, trying to pass the SAVE Act, with
years
people
later.
running around saying it's Jim Crow 2.0. These pieces of shit, and 82% of the country wants it. Pass the SAVE Act.
Yeah. Yep.
Make it make sense. I mean,
It
any
doesn't.
of it. I feel like we constantly have to debate the ridiculous.
Yes. Oh, so what's going on here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just trying to figure out how retarded we can be before we die. What do you think,
But California's taking it to new levels.
Oh, man, aren't they? This is crazy. It just never, ever ends. Okay, well, can we talk about something that's good? I think oil prices are down a little bit.
They're down a little bit.
We're in the 80s, bro. Come on now. That's
Yeah. Well, in the 80s, California had 41 refineries.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, now we're down to 7, and now we got 3 corporations that have basically submitted letters to the state saying if you don't negotiate with us on these new cap and invest amendments they're voting on in May, they basically have threatened to shut down 6 of the remaining 7 refineries that we have in the state.
Why are the people not lynching the? I'm not saying it's a good idea or anything, but you have Democrats, Republicans, everyone's pissed.
Well, you know, it's their ideology. It's, you know, like your Professor Miche was testifying last, I think, Wednesday or Thursday at the state about the excise tax and the cap and invest and a couple different things. And it's like he said, he didn't get a single question from a Democrat there, not one. Nobody wanted to ask him a question. They're not interested. I honestly think between them and this governor, they really don't have any idea about the situation the state is in, and they definitely don't have any idea about what situation the state's going to be in. You get 3 major oil companies come together like this and send similar letters. That's historic. That hasn't happened before anywhere that I'm aware of, not in the United States. California, as soon as Valero went down, that was back on January, and the news media kept reporting, Valero's going down in April, and I'm telling them, no, they went down in January. And the prices started to go up in California, about 80 cents a gallon on gasoline, because once Valero went down, we reached that limit of being able to offload ships, full of fuel that's coming from Asia. And then they started bringing in some from the Bahamas via the Gulf Coast. That's part of the problem California is running into right now is a lot of these Asian countries are they're getting their oil through the Strait of Hormuz through the Persian Gulf. So, China actually started supplying us with fuel. And then China said, hey, no more exporting diesel or gasoline. Same thing with South Korea, Singapore, India. All those countries have been really hit hard because they, while for the most part, on crude oil, California is all right. The rest of the country's all right. Those countries have been hit hard, and this was another thing that we were concerned about, was us, some type of event in the world where California becomes more and more dependent on foreign imports. And that's exactly what's going on. Where California before the war was about $1.50 a gallon, give or take, higher than the rest of the country. Now it's like $2.50 a gallon, and diesel's just gone through the roof.
Well, there was a sign on the side of the highway. I had to stop by and check it out. It said $7.99 a gallon for diesel. It turned out it was $4.99, which is still $5 a gallon. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Well, yeah, a 20-gallon tank, you're at $100 easy. But yeah, in California, the norm up here in the northern part of the Central Valley is around $6.50
for diesel.
I've seen sevens. You head into the Bay Area, you head down towards Los Angeles, 7, 8, easily $8 a gallon. So and that's that obviously is a big problem for folks, especially for folks that they budget their money. Their budgets are set and fixed. Now you got to decide, what am I going to buy food? What am I going to do here?
Mike, let's talk as Americans for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The average American gets 56 cents on every dollar to the government. In California, it's even more than that. I think it's like 59 or 60%. So they're budgeting on 40% of what they make. They're literally in a sharecroppers, a slave state. Imagine if you handed back that 60% to the people in those that have those budgets, how much easier life would be for them.
Oh yeah, so many people were already struggling before this hit, and it gets you get the typical thing here with, it's the Iranian war. Well, no and yes. The initial price increase, like I said, was because Valero went down, and we were concerned about that. When I mean the Professor Bichet and Assemblyman Ellis, we were concerned that once Valero went down, we're reaching our ability to offload fuels tankers. When you go out towards the Bay Area right now, San Francisco, you'll see 6, 7, 8 fuels tankers running their engines, running their smoke, sitting there waiting to offload. When Valero went down, we reached that precipice where the infrastructure was not designed to offload another 4.3 million gallons a day of gasoline and 1.3 or 4 million gallons of jet and diesel put together. That's what we lost when Valero went down. So we're there. Prices went up, and I kept telling a couple different news agencies, you guys need to quit reporting April. Valero said April, but they went down in January. And what's going to happen with this cap and invest? They're supposed to negotiate, or I should say vote on these amendments in May. And Marathon, Chevron, and PBF, the 3 major oil corporations that own 6 of the 7 refineries that are running, they basically told the state, we're not going to sit there and we're not going to take this. It's like PBF posted in their letter, their cap and invest payments in the next 5 years will go up 400%. So they're already losing money. They're going to pay a couple $100 million more. And then all these countries that pollute, that import fuel, are making fuel, and we import from them, they don't have to pay this money. They don't have to pay this money at all. So I honestly, the way the state has behaved historically in the last 15, 20 years, but especially since Newsom come in, I think they're going to double down. And they're gonna vote on those amendments, and then around June 1st, they're going to get 3 letters from 3 corporations, and then California's in big time trouble like no state has ever seen in history.
How do we get ahead of it? I mean, actually, I don't want to talk about that yet. I don't want to talk about that yet, because I know we talked about getting ahead of it before, but let's talk about not getting ahead of it.
Well, not getting ahead of it. You look at things like the Chevron CEO Andy Waltz had made comments back in September when Governor Newsom signed into law about the refinery storing extra fuel, about building extra storage, which had tens, hundreds of millions of dollars or more cost, causing them to hemorrhage even more. That's when Phillips 66 said, we're done, down in Wilmington. 4 days after that was signed into law, they gave notice. Valero shortly thereafter. But before, when that happened, Andy Waltz flat out, said, hey, we're not sure what we're going to do. We're looking at all this. We may leave, we may not. Okay, I'm not saying we're going to, but the way California works, it is terrible for business. We can't keep throwing away money like we are. We are a company beholden to our shareholders, and he basically told them the state needs to change the way they do things. It needs to change so it's more business friendly. So not only did it not change, they doubled down. They came up with these new addendums for cap and invest. It used to be cap and trade. Kind of reminds me of global warming, global cooling, climate change. And now it's cap and invest now, where the importers don't have to pay this, but the refiners in the state do. And he had made a comment that the Richmond refinery supplies San Francisco with 60% of their jet fuel. PBF, in their letter to the state, cited that they supply 40% of the jet fuel to SFO. That's 100%. So you're going to SFO, Oakland, San Jose, Sacramento, LAX, Orange County, all those airports, is because all three of those corporations own a refinery up north and a refinery down south. So those go down. The state's going to have very little jet fuel. Diesel's going to drop off somewhere between 6 and 8 million gallons a day of production. And then what you're going to run into there, Joe, is food. Cities have 3 or 4 days of food supply, maybe 5 on hand. Well, the logistics are real simple. You don't have diesel, you don't get transportation. And they ignored this. They don't care. This has been spoken about. This has been presented. You're going to put us in a situation where not only is the military compromised, which it is already, Californians, there's going to be civil unrest like no state's ever seen because people aren't going to have food.
Well, so do you do food storage?
Yeah.
So I do food storage in a really kind of awesome way. I have we cycle out grain, and the way that my wife and I did this is that we have enough food off grid for the four of us plus so 6 people for 90 days. Plus we have enough for, if we were to 3/4 it, we'd have enough to go 90 days if we had to add an emergency family, so like 4 extra people. Mm-hmm. I have never thought that I would ever need this. And I have GREs and I've got all sorts of other stuff that is stacked up. I never in a million years would have thought I would have needed it. Now, Mike, I'm looking at it going, when's the party going to get started?
Well, what got me into this was when I heard Valero was shutting down. I've told you, talked to you before, I said it's the most advanced, most efficient refiner in the world. I'm doing my farming thing. I'm operating engineer. Right. When I heard Valero shut down, it's like, what the hell's going on? So that's when I started digging in. I drafted my own brief, went to Sacramento. I was blessed to run into Stan Ellis, the assemblyman from Bakersfield. He convened a meeting between me and him and the professor. And then it's like the professor said, he was spot on. He says, I'm the researcher, Mike's the practitioner, Stan is the scientist. And we got halfway through our first meeting in Bakersfield, and he said, we quickly realized that this problem, and we're talking back in October, that this problem is far worse than either of us thought it was individually.
Okay.
When we started putting our information together from our various perspectives.
So this leads me to certain people that are in positions of power, specifically from a country somewhere in the middle of a desert, that are starting to put insurance policies on buildings, terrorist insurance on buildings in high population areas. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, this just happened like a couple days ago.
I hadn't heard of it, but
all right. So now I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on. Somebody better give me a tinfoil hat. I need to have one. World Economic Forum, August 2019. It was stated, Yuval Noah Harari and Klaus Schwab, they had a panel, and they said that they need to reduce the amount of people in the world, and that it'll happen by 2030. I don't know if the 2030 came in a subsequent meeting or a clarification, to reduce the population by 95%.
That's a lot.
Huh?
That's billions.
That leaves
That's
about
billions.
430 million people in the world.
Yeah.
Kill off 7.5 billion people, 8 billion people.
Wow.
That was, I mean, remember, everything that they actually talked about has come true. They've found a way to put all this stuff in place, and they've signaled it. I mean, there's nothing that we haven't experienced over the last 10 years that hasn't been signaled. So civil unrest would kill off 50, 60. It would take 30 days and 50% of the population in highly populated areas would die.
Yeah, and it would start, it would be, unfortunately, in California, untold numbers of people. I mean, people don't have food. They don't have food. And the cities are packed and populated. I mean, I don't have to describe that. It's pretty straightforward. And the thing is, it spreads to Reno, spreads to Vegas. It's basically the whole West Coast. And then, especially with the military issue, then it spreads into our country. So there's an investigative editor-in-chief, a lady named Katie Grimes, did some investigation and found out two of the environmental reports that the Air Board is using to issue their edicts came from Tsinghua University in Beijing, where Xi Jinping went to the university. So they're issuing these a lot of these edicts they're putting on the refineries and the state based on reports from the most polluting country in the world. So yeah, there's a whole method there. What the hell's going on? And if they do that, if this happens, and I think they're, excuse me, I think they're unless things turn drastically, I think they're going to leave. I think they're shut down. Valero took a $1.1 billion loss. It said, we're out of here. We're done. I don't see these refineries staying. And then, yeah, we will be in that exact predicament where there's going to be civil unrest that, there's not enough National Guard to handle it. Plus, they won't have fuel.
Well, I mean, this leads to how do you deal with that type of mass extermination?
I don't know. What needs this is what's got me a little mystified is they've used the Defense Production Act to start pumping crude oil off the 3 platforms off of Santa Barbara, Hondo, Heritage, Harmony, and then Chevron El Segundo gave Governor Newsom the middle finger and said, well, we're gonna start using that oil. To hell with you. But the thing is it leaves me with 2 or 3 questions. It's okay. Why didn't you do this a year ago? The Defense Production Act has always been there. The Supremacy Clause is there. Why didn't you do this a year ago? Or why didn't you do this in Trump's first term? Why didn't you take care of that? Why are you doing it now at a time where we need the Defense Production Act to bring in the refineries, to keep the refineries, to get Valero restaffed and restarted, and to keep these 6 from shutting down? And now you got 3 letters from 3 major corporations with, I think it's 1.24 million barrels a day of crude oil processing that's going to go away. So this is a perfect, exact reason for the Defense Production Act. Why has that not been imposed on the state? You can't, once these refineries go down, it's really hard to start them back up. You don't have the qualified personnel. And a refinery mothball is in a totally different state than a refinery that's shut down for maintenance just to be started back up again. And now you have 3. Oh, it's expensive, and it takes time. And now you got 3 letters from the 3 major corporations. It's like, excuse me, what the hell does it take? This has never been done before.
So what are what can policymakers do? I mean, we can't even get the SAVE Act passed. 82% of the public wants the SAVE Act. They want it to pass, and we can't get that passed. I mean, what are the policymakers going to be able to do in order to protect our energy independence?
Well, they have to basically come in and impose EPA standards. Basically, the Supremacy Clause, the Defense Production Act impose EPA standards in California. Tell CARB, you're done. Matter of fact, put a lot of them under investigation, especially for using Chinese reports. And then the California Energy Commission, you're done. You no longer have influence on the refineries. Then they have to look at, talk to like Valero, say, hey, what do we need to do? How can we help? Because that gives the president, that gives the Secretary of Energy the authority to make some moves, including financing or, like say Valero's wrote off so much of their refinery. It's like, okay, well, we'll give you 20 years to pay it back. Let's get the refinery started up. You'll no longer have the Air Board. You'll no longer have the Energy Commission. All these people that have been hosing you over, they're null and void now. You will be under the Secretary of under the Secretary of Energy, and you will be under federal purview. That's the only thing that's going to keep them going. If not, I'm afraid they're going to be all gone. That last refinery, that's Valero and Wilmington. They already wrote it off. They wrote off, just wrote off on the losses they were taking. So it's basically devalued. So, when it comes to, Valero took a $1.1 billion loss for Benicia. They'll do the same thing for Wilmington. And that's it. 0 refineries. There is no way on the Lord's earth we can import that much fuel. There's no way. And I doubt there's any place where we can get where they could make that much fuel.
I feel like we're going backwards a little bit.
Big time.
We have a deal in Iran. Stocks kind of stabilized today as a result of that. I mean, I don't think they had much of a choice. There was not a whole lot left of Iran after we got done with it over the last 10 days.
Yes, our military has done an outstanding job.
I'm still trying to figure out, then we blew it all to pieces, and now we're going to pay to put it back together. And I don't think it's funny. But I think it's absurd. This is the absurdity that we go through. And we sit back and watch.
The nice thing about our president compared to any others, though, is I don't think we're just going to be paying to rebuild it. I think he's going to be recovering a lot of, it won't be anywhere near what we've had to pay in the past to rebuild different things. I think a lot of it.
We only got him for 2 years, brother.
I know.
And we don't have a bench. We don't have a bench.
That is a big problem.
I mean, who's our bench in 2 years? Who's going to run for office?
There's in my humble opinion, there's a few candidates, but he's irreplaceable. While there's good people, there's none of his caliber, none of his bar, and that's what we'll lose. And yes, we could very quickly turn back the other way, back to shit.
Well, if you look at it, Biden went this way. He went to the left. I don't know, 800 miles. President Trump got back in office really quickly. We came back 400 miles, and then stopped. We didn't gain back all of our ground, so we're still 400 miles into this deep desert of BS. And there's nothing in sight that says that we're going to get back that 400. So now we're going to start this again in 2 years, and we're going to do what? Go another 800 miles? Now we're 1,200 miles in, and we're going back and forth.
Or 1,000 miles, or even more. Yeah, yeah. I'm afraid of that too. I agree.
Okay, now walk me through this. You have all sorts of quants that are over in the Middle East, especially the guys that are in Saudi Arabia. I know they're sitting behind their computer, like licking their lips like this. Oil's going to hit $120 a gallon, or $120 a barrel. What are we going to do? It's going to be so good for us. And then at the same time, we have to talk about fertilizer spiking and all the other things that are tied to energy. What are we dealing with a case of stagflation? Are we going to put ourselves in a place where, frankly, it just becomes untenable for people to be able to live?
There is definitely the danger of going there. You get sulfur, the potash. The sulfur comes from refining. A lot of it comes from refining the crude oil. It's one of the units I used to run was a sulfur recovery, and you ship it off. And you certainly could head in that direction, without a doubt.
Never seems to end. So you keep warning us about our dependence on foreign energy. Are we too far gone? I mean, we said this before, but are we
California is. The rest of the country, it's like I did an interview one time, and a guy was talking about the ethanol, and he said, well, some of these Democrats say that, well, other states have the same ethanol, standards as we want to go to, and they're already there. And it's like you're comparing apples to oranges. The rest of the country doesn't have a refinery problem. The rest of the country doesn't have a crude oil problem. In Broken Arrow, where my folks live, $1.90 a gallon is where it was, and it's gone up, but it hasn't gone up like California. California's gone up on steroids.
$3.50 a gallon?
In the rest of the country, California, it's I don't see anything even $4.99 a gallon anymore. It's in the fives. The cheaper ones, the cheaper stations up here, like in Chico, are $5.39, $5.49 a gallon. Some depends on Chevron, different ones. They're up to $6.99 a gallon, and the diesel's $1 or $2. Even the margin on diesel's gone up even more than what it was. So thank you, California, for converting those 2 refineries in the Bay Area to renewable diesel. It hasn't done us a damn bit of good from an economic standpoint. So, it's really bad. It's just California is the Achilles heel, and I look, and Joe, it's our country and California built itself up over the decades. The shining star on the hill, our country, and then California was its own shining star of the country. It built itself like its own country. It's why it has such a big economy. Energy was its biggest factor. Our ability to pump our own crude oil out of the state, the 5th largest reserves, our ability to refine our own fuels, our own products, everything we needed, our ability to generate our own electricity back when we had oil-fired power plants and some nuclear power plants to shut down. So California, there's reasons why those are the big reasons why it got up to the economic status that it was because of our own energy independence, our own ability to make our own energy. That's why they never built pipelines coming into California. They don't exist because California was always able to take care of itself, was always able to provide for its own needs. Now it's gone off the cliff, totally off the cliff. We're importing more fuel than we're needing more fuel than we can possibly get into the state because the infrastructure was never built to do that. And then, this conflict just shows the vulnerability, the level of vulnerability that California has. But because, again, the prices in California have excelled a hell of a lot more than they have in the rest of the country.
Well, I tell you what, if we don't get something done very quickly, we are in a world of hurt. So I pray.
That's why. Oh, me too, brother. Me too. And that's why I'm glad they did the DPA on the oil platforms, but why are they not doing it on the refineries, especially with those 3 letters from those 3 corporations? It's like that is the death blow to California. That's the death blow to our military. Where the hell are they going to get the fuel?
Mike, if we just stop this, Americans collecting taxes and paying taxes, what do you think would happen? You think that the people would? You think it would change the paradigm? I'm seriously considering writing a letter to the federal government and the state government telling them that I will no longer collect taxes as a tax bib for them, that I'm not required to.
Oh yeah, if you don't get, they don't send somebody to throw you in jail and push charges on you. Yeah. You're taking their money.
Yeah, but I'm not taking it. I'm just thinking I'm shifting the burden, saying that people can pay their own taxes. And I mean, I just feel like we are participating in the grift against the American people. We've been enslaved for so long.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And I play by their rules. I keep playing by their rules. Give up to Caesar what is Caesar's, but now Caesar's taking everything off the bone and treating us as if we're just an inconvenience. Or a cog in the wheel. Yeah.
A burden, yeah.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know. Well, thanks for coming on again. I appreciate you having me on. I think we get this whole thing wrapped up in Iran. Maybe we'll build a new Disneyland over there, give a bunch of money. No? Okay, well.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. They just tie all the hijabs together. We'll just do a little swing.
I appreciate you having me, Joe. We're doing a little town hall at Chico State. Actually, some of the students were interested in what's going on. So April 2nd, we're going to be doing a town hall. I'm looking forward to that. The professor and the assemblymen are going to be there, and Some minds, they want to learn. They still want to learn and understand what the hell is going on.
If we could include young people in the conversation, make them stakeholders, like
Yes.
we used to do that. We used to bring them up through it and make them excited about it, give them opportunities. And, now you just got a bunch of freaking old people on oxygen that are part of these political conversations. I mean, look who's on TV. You got a brain dead AOC on one side, and you got John Thune over here being the captive betrayer, the 65-year-old dude. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's...
I mean, I know the left is retarded, but they at least let young people play. I mean, they're retarded young people, but imagine if we actually brought young people into the conversation on the Republican side.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah,
it's like
young
a bingo
people.
hall now. Jeez.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Mike, thanks for joining me, brother. I appreciate you very much. All right, God bless you, brother.
You too.
All right, so we got this next this next block. We're gonna go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Scott Milheiser and Tim Ramthun. And Tim ran for governor a couple years ago, 2022, I believe, and he's been a champion for election integrity. And Scott's going to talk to us about what just happened to Harry Waite's trial. He was found guilty of 3 of the 4 charges, and it doesn't make sense that even happened. The judge stood on the weights of the court, as they all often do. And so we'll take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Scott and by Tim. We'll bring it back.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF Guns. What is DCF Guns, you ask? We're the best damn gun store and range in the universe. Do we have guns? We have all the guns. We got small guns. We got big guns. We even have beastly guns. We offer all types of training, and we have 5 ranges across our 3 locations. I'm a good shot. And of course, we have all types of ammo. We even have flamethrowers. Woo! We offer incredible membership opportunities, and members save even more on guns, ammo, and accessories. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. It's hot.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Well, good afternoon. It is about 3 o'clock, I think, on Monday afternoon. I'm outside the Law Enforcement Center in Racine, Wisconsin, where I had traveled to attend a public hearing of Harry Waite. I, along with about 20 others, have been denied access to the courtroom based on reaching its capacity. I'm really disappointed that the courts did not make accommodations for an overflow room that we could view this and witness this public hearing. It's disappointing to me. Many of us have traveled great distances, and several people have booked rooms for an overnight stay for this 2-day hearing. now not knowing if they're going to have access to the courtroom tomorrow. What's even more disappointing is that all of us were here this morning prior to the jury selection as they worked through the jury instructions, and they had to know at that time that there was an overwhelming support for Harry Wade at this hearing, and they had ample time to make accommodations for us to view this public hearing in another room, and they failed to do so. And I don't know if this is an effort to minimize the support that Harry has, although everybody who is in that courtroom is in support of Harry Wade. There are there's nobody here who's opposing Harry Wade and what he did. Everybody is here to support him for being a whistleblower and putting pressure on the state to not convict a man for whistleblowing and really opening a lot of eyes to the flaws that exist in my vote. Some of those who are not have not gained entrance to the courtroom this afternoon. Former Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman, along with former Assembly Representative Janelle Branchin, both of whom are with part of the 20 or so people who have not been allowed access to the courtroom this afternoon. We are standing strong outside the courtroom, and we will continue to stay here until court is adjourned for the day to show Harry that not only was there support inside that courtroom this afternoon, but outside for those of us who were not allowed in. Again, very disappointed in Racine County Court and for not making accommodations to ensure that all of us had the opportunity to witness what I will say again is a public hearing. More on this as we proceed through the day.
Well, I'm not going to waste any more time. Scott, Tim, welcome to the show. So let's go through the outcome. For those of you that don't know, Harry had uncovered a flaw, a massive flaw, in the election system in Wisconsin. Now, we've already seen that these election systems, we saw what happened in California and Nevada, they're all tied to a system that is designed to defraud the American voter out of their voice. And the sheriff didn't want to press charges. But the apparatus inside of Wisconsin did, and they wanted to create another Tina Peters. How dare you question what's happening to the public? Sit down, shut up, slave. Isn't that in essence what happened?
While he's figuring this out, I got to tell you, this guy right here, this Scott Milheiser guy, this is an incredible.
Wisconsin did. And they wanted to create another Tina Peters. How dare you question what's happening to the public? Sit down, shut up, slave. Isn't that in essence what happened?
While he's figuring this out, I got to tell you, this guy right here, this Scott Milheiser guy, this is an incredible gentleman. You talk about ever-ready battery bunny moments. Him and his wife, Jenny, are going all the time, everywhere in the state, to be at locations to help patriots celebrate anything. If it's candidacy for seats, if it's an event about politics and our constitutional republic, these two people go everywhere all the time, and they impress the heck out of me with their loyalty and their devotion and their conviction, and they're just 100% on fire, and they're contagious with their passion. Scott loves to take video. Sometimes he's humorous. Sometimes he writes articles like he did this morning about reflecting back on yesterday's disappointment about some more people should have been there. We should have had thousands there.
Guys, we didn't have, hold on a second, we didn't have volume on Scott and them for the first time that he was talking, right? All right. Okay, so, but everything that Tim said previously, we didn't get the response. Nobody heard.
Didn't hear me either?
No, but nobody could hear Tim even when he was talking. Yeah, okay. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Scott, let me be quiet for a moment. Let you run point. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you today. Please, you go first.
Oh my gosh. All right, leave, Scott, go out and come back in. How about that? Try that. Go out and come back in. Okay. All right, Tim, let's reminisce here for a minute. Man, it's been a tough 6 years, huh? Worth it. Challenging.
Well, definitely worth it. But to that point, one of the great sadnesses I have is the way they talk about the revelation of election integrity related matters now, like it's a brand new thing.
Yeah.
For me, it's dated all of 5 years, if not 6. And it annoys me because they act like it's something big and new, and everybody's like, ooh, well, where were you for the last 5 years, right? So that's what bothers me a lot. I would also tell you that the obstruction to block any sort of action to help address resolution to an election-related matter. You got ballots, chain of custody, machines, voter lists, the mail-in process, you name it, right? They don't do anything to fix anything. So they just kick cans down the road and deflect and say everything's fine when actually it's not. So we're rolling into a November general election in this state, and it's going to be a rerun from the last 4 or 6 that we've had where things didn't go well, especially for the GOP.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be this way.
No, sir.
We could fix it very quickly. But you have to get off this Israel first stance and get back to the America first ethos and start having conversations with Democrats and independents and Republicans about what they need. I can tell you what they don't need. They don't need anything that we're doing right now.
We have a war going on in our country right now. And outside of our country, those are deflections to me. We've got to focus on what's inside and work our way out to get our own house clean. So, yeah, there's major dated issues all over. And it's not just election integrity, but I'll tell you the lack of integrity in our elections has allowed seats to be bought and paid, and they're filled with puppets, individuals who are not qualified to be there, but they are there by virtue of the default of being.
Well, they keep saying that you have to be able to raise money, and that the coffers are full, and you have $8 million and $12 million and $20 million, and I'm thinking to myself, so the nonprofit grift and the laundering of money is alive and well, and it is being used. Taxpayer money is being used in order to fund into this idea that they can steal elections, and nobody has an appetite for anyone like Gavin Newsom. No one has an appetite for Jared Polis, for Voss, for any of these people. They're not liked at all.
And they don't care.
They don't have to care because the elections are shit.
They keep doing what they're doing because they don't care. And the sad part is they lack the vision to realize the damage they're causing for not only the short-term future of our state and our nation, but the long-term effect. They don't have the vision to comprehend it.
No question. And it's gotten almost untenable. Is Scott back? He's not back. Okay. There was a message that's sent to Harry after the trial by a juror.
I'm aware of it.
Let's put that up. I hope this message is relayed to Harry. I was on your jury. I want you to know the way questions were framed by the law. We had our hands tied. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of small-minded people in the world now, and most think more with emotion than logic or truth. I personally want to thank you for what you did and consider you a true patriot. After what happened today, I have essentially given up on humanity, and I am saddened all of the work our founding fathers did for us is now in vain. I want everyone to understand that was sent to Harry Waite by a juror that sat, and the way that the courts win is that they frame questions in order to make sure that innocent people are put in jail and guilty people are let go. Am I wrong, Tim?
No, you're absolutely correct. And what's so extraordinary about that is the mentality of orchestration and scripting isn't just in the courts, it's like everywhere. So people are treated as animals, as sheeple, to do as they're instructed through the forces outside their respective situation and environments.
Yeah.
And in the judicial, we observed the jury questions and the process, but I didn't realize how much it was manipulating the ability for the jurors to ask questions to actually make a decision on truth. And the truth of the issue is Harry Waite did what he did to flesh out a problem with an application that affected all the voters in this state. And what they did is they embraced the letter and rule of law, the specifics around the law, and there's ambiguity in that, especially when you talk about the act versus the purpose of the act. And that was the defining moment. If they would have understood what the effects of a fraudulent application in elections was and why Harry wanted to reveal it, they would have definitely acquitted him on all 4 counts. But they weren't allowed to go there because the purpose element wasn't what the rule of law stated, and they were handcuffed into, and he admitted it too many times, which in a way kind of bothered me a little bit. It's like, Harry, you're dumping gas on the fire here. You're helping them feel okay about convicting you because you're telling us all that you knew it was illegal and you did it anyway. He had to focus more time and effort to talk at the purpose part, and I don't think that got enough traction in the hearings.
They're not allowed to argue jury nullification, so you're not allowed to argue that by itself, right?
Correct.
And an unjust law is no law at all. And he was found guilty of influencing what was he had 2 counts. 1 count he was not found guilty of.
Okay.
3 of the 4.
There were 4 counts total, 2 for each of the insecure bullies. So Voss had a count for him for identity theft, and then the election fraud.
Hold on. Patrick, can you do me a favor and get a hold of Scott so you can get him back on the link, please? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. The link keeps kicking me out, is what he said. Oh, Patrick's on it, so you can see it. Never mind. Okay, so I want to go back and I want to read this one more time because I'm not sure that everyone understands. I did not preface this well because somebody just asked, well, we don't know who wrote that. This was a message that was sent by a juror that sat on the trial for Harry Waite, who wrote this after getting off the jury. Let's put it back up one more time. I'm going to read it one more time. I hope this message is relayed to Harry. I was on your jury, and I want you to know the way the questions were framed by the law. We had our hands tied. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of small-minded people in the world now, and most think more with emotion than logic or truth. I personally want to thank you for what you did and consider you a true patriot. After what happened today, I'm essentially given up on humanity, and I'm saddened all of the work our founding fathers did for us is now in vain. Imagine a place where criminals are let out on the street, children are raped and given 6-month sentences by transgender sickos, and Harry is found guilty of pointing out a flaw that he tried to tell him was wrong before he did it. And then the people that are in positions of trust and authority, Voss, then turned around and said, I'm going to burn him to the ground. I think Voss is a traitor. He's a betrayer. He's ultimately the scum of the earth. He's anti-American. Well, part of what am I saying is not true.
It's all true, and I could add some, but that would take a little bit too much time on this podcast, so I'll just be quiet. But I worked with him. I'm glad he's retiring, by the way. I really am. I think Wisconsin might have a chance. If his learned behavior hasn't permeated too badly into the body and we get some leadership, we might have an opportunity to do things better in our state. But it may be too late because I think the Senate's going to flip. It's going to be a problem with the divided government again in our state.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'd like to go back to the counts. There was 2 separate counts for each individual, a total of 4, right? One was for identity theft, which was using the name to enter the request for the ballot, and then the actual processing of the ballot, which was where the election fraud was charged against him. They didn't tag him for a felony or a misdemeanor on the identity theft for Voss, if I recall correctly, but they gave it, I think, a misdemeanor for the ballot element for the election fraud because Harry never received Voss's ballot, but he did put in the Racine mayor's name, Corey Mason. So that was identity theft. That was chargeable, I think, as a misdemeanor. Perhaps it was a felony. And then the other one was for the election fraud. That one was either a felony or misdemeanor. But collectively, it was 2 misdemeanors and 1 felony and 1 acquittal from the 4 counts. So yeah, Harry's going to be, if things process through, I think an appeal is going to happen, by the way. I'll spin around here with some thought. I think they're going to have an appeal, and I suggested already this morning that they not only take that message from that juror, but all of the jurors. I would find out who all of them are, and have conversation with all of them, because all of them could become witnesses.
They don't have to. They don't have to have conversations. But the jurors that would have a conversation, I agree. But you have someone that fundamentally was on a jury and said, I've lost hope in humanity. That's how fundamentally broken our system is. Our system is so fundamentally broken that jurors literally look at what's happening in society and they've given up all hope. I mean, what does that tell you about where we are as a country? And we're allowing these criminals, we're allowing people to basically run roughshod over us, Tim. And I got to tell you, I don't want to live in a country this way. And more I have conversations with people on the other side, and everyone says, Joe, oh, we can't get violent. But you can apply force. We can force these pieces of shit out of their office, can't we?
Recall, probably the only form.
Man, this whole idea that we have to sit in line and beg them for our own rights, it's not real, Tim. It's not real. We're like an elephant with a string tied to our ankle, tied to a fence that's not even in the ground. I say this over and over and over again. People are just slaves. We're slaves, and we got to just take it. I'm not taking it. Why should we take it?
I couldn't agree with you more, Joe. On a personal note, it's hard for me because when I was in the seat, I embraced the dutiful obligation to serve, and I did the things of, by, and for the people 24/7. I not only served my 59th Assembly District, I served the other 98 districts in my state. People were calling me from all over asking me questions because their rep and their senator weren't helping them. So they would call me. They weren't even my constituents that could vote for me. But you know what? I worked as a state rep and I served them because they lived in my state and I felt dutifully obligated. We don't have enough people with that mentality, servanthood, Christian faith and courage to do the right thing. Had I been on that jury, I'll tell you something. You ever see the movie 12 Angry Men?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No,
it's a great movie. 12 Angry Men, right? Well, one guy.
I try to stay away from Hollywood stuff, frankly.
Well, it's back in the old days when they made better movies, right?
Yeah.
Because I know Spencer Tracy's in one of them. But the point is, there was 12 guys that were part of a jury. They went into a room sequestered to make a decision. 11 of them said that guy was guilty, and one guy said he was innocent. And by the end of the show, all 12 said he was innocent. Why? Because the one guy had the courage and had the conviction and had the wherewithal to say, here's why we have to let this person free. And he was able to educate the other ones. We don't have enough people in government now that have the courage to do that, to stand up and fight for doing what's right. They just roll and go along because they don't want to be getting the crosshairs of a pissed off leader, right? So they take the easy street, and then we all get crapped on because of it. So I'm tired of it too.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. Do we have Scott back yet or no?
I don't see him.
Okay, well, I'm going to have Harry on too. Hopefully, goes into, because he's going to fight like hell through this whole thing. Tim, how do we? What do you think the outcome is? They're going to sentence him, or are they going to? The sentencing happen next, or are they going to file an appeal first? And
if Scott can talk, I'd like to give the. Oh, he just dropped off. Oh, there he is. Scott, can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Get on. Put it back on.
All right. I'm going to be quiet. Scott, go ahead, Joe. Ask the question. Let him talk.
So what's the next step? What's the next step, Scott?
Well, I do believe I spoke to Harry this morning. There will be an appeal. I don't know how quickly that will be expedited, Joe. And short of that, I don't know what's next. And I missed much of what's been said already because of my technical difficulties on my end. But there will be an appeal.
So we just read, you weren't on when we read this, but we read the note that came from one of the jurors that said, I've lost hope, and this is, the way that they worded the question, they tied us into a box.
It's unfortunate, but, that we have a juror thinking that way. But I think that, that's kind of the attitude of so many people that I encounter, not just in that jury, but like all over, the lost hope. And how do we fix it? And this was one of the steps to fixing it. And the system failed again.
Well, how's Harry feel about this? Do you think, and let's just play judge here for a minute. Do you think the judge sentences him to jail?
Personally, I think he does. I think the Robin Voss influence is going to come into play here, and he's a very vindictive person, and I do believe that he will likely face some jail time.
Before we respond to the question, let me ask one: does the sentencing come before if he appeals like tomorrow or next week, does that put the sentencing on hold?
It could if the judge allows it to.
Okay.
Not necessarily. It's not a guarantee.
Right now, I saw May 27th. Scott, do you agree May 27th is sentencing day?
That's what I heard this morning. I know last night they were leaving it kind of open-ended because I think the Department of Justice wanted to make sure that the victims in this crime were available for that sentencing date. So maybe they've resolved that, and the 27th is the date.
Well, the reason I ask is, by the way, Harry is the victim, and he will be there. But anyway, to the question, Joe, I'm intrigued about the possibility that the plea deal that was offered, that Harry rejected because he wanted all of this on the court record. He wanted to take it through to the end, no matter how it turned out. He wanted to fight this through court. The plea deal just said you take your misdemeanor charges and you get probation. They already offered that and he rejected it. So to me, it begs the question, if they were willing to do it before the court process and the conviction, perhaps they would do it again. So I can't say for sure that they would convict him, and maybe they won't, and that's my answer to your question.
And Joe, as a follow-up to that, we also had a situation in Milwaukee, the Kimberly Zapata case, where she requested ballots and had them sent to Janelle Branchen's house, military ballots in fake names, and she was given probation and I think some community service and a fine. So she never saw jail time in Wisconsin, and that was a jury trial.
So there's, look, I think Harry is a warrior. He doesn't care if he goes to jail.
He doesn't.
He could care less. Nobody wants to go to jail, right? Nobody wants to go to prison. But at the same time, I think that he's like, but whatever, you do it, whatever you want to me. I'm gonna continue to speak up for what's right. Do you think that this is going to be a catalyst for the people of Wisconsin? Because I can tell you right now, the people of Wisconsin, they're angry right now. They're really angry. Like I can't tell you how many people that reached out after listening to the broadcast and said, Joe, we're ready to go fight.
I do hope you're right. I mean, that's my prayer, that this really engages. And I spoke to Harry this morning, and he said, it happened. I knew I was taking a chance, and now I'm paying the price, and I'm okay with that. But now others have to step up and carry the torch and keep this fight going. And that's Harry's attitude. He's very upbeat. He lifted me up this morning because I was pretty pissed off this morning. And Harry, of all people, lifted me up.
Okay, so I need to tell both of you something. Do you know who has big balls? Harry's got big balls. Harry has big balls. But do you know who else has big balls?
Trump?
young people.
Oh, young.
Right? How do we ignite a fire under the young people? Right? And this is a bigger problem. This reaches far beyond Harry. Harry's just Harry Big Balls is just is an example for young people to follow. But Scott was wearing a shirt that said Harry Big Balls. I just wanted to be clear. Weren't you, Scott?
I was.
Yeah. So, but how do we get young people involved in this to where they can, because, man, I tell you what, people will fight. There's a reason why 18 to 25-year-olds ran onto the beaches of Normandy knowing that they were going to die. They did it anyway. They have big balls, and they want to fight for what's right, and this is what's right, but we haven't given young people a seat at the table.
I wish I had the answer how to not only I can invite them to the table. I've had a challenge like getting them to the table, and if you have that ability, Joe, or ideas on how to do that to engage that age group, I'd love to hear it, because yesterday, what the average age, Tim, was what, 45 that were there.
I think you're being generous.
Yeah, well, I probably am.
So let's say the average is 45. You know how you get young people to show up? Bring footballs, bring cigars, bring a 12-pack of beer, and sit around and work the problem. The same way we used to do it when we were younger. Like, this is who we were. Then we got older and we're like, now you go into I went to a GOP meeting, and this is nothing to do with Harry's got big balls. Like, he's just a big ball dude, right? He's got elephant balls. He walks around, they're scraping on the ground, making all sorts of sounds. All right, but now you go to a GOP meeting, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody there that's not on oxygen, trying to live out the last part of their legacy. Tell me I'm wrong.
Can't argue with you.
Some of these event pictures I see, it looks like they're taken in nursing homes. Absolutely.
And they're in a bingo hall. Bingo! We've got to make it fun. I said it so just so you guys know, I flew in a helicopter on Saturday to the assembly, right? And I was going to go to all the assembly events. I got shut down. FAA said no. Great guy, Joe Mattress. He runs front range heli tours. He flew me down. I was like, I'm going to show up in a helicopter. I'm going to drop into all the assemblies, right? That was fun. I sat around, talked to the young Republicans, because I like the young people. I want the young people to have a voice. I'm like, why do you guys call yourself young Republicans? Why can't you just call your Republicans and you're just young guys that are in the Republican Party? They're like, oh, we're not allowed to do that. I'm like, why? Why are we separating them? Help me. No?
Well, go ahead, Scott. I got an idea.
No, go ahead, Tim.
Well, we've had youth come into our county parties and request change or enhancement, or they had some issue to express to the older folks, the guard, and they were rejected. And a lot of them were kicked out of the party, and their dues were returned, and so they weren't allowed to come anymore to voice. So they formed these secondary groups, and that's why they're separate.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, why? I undressed an old guy. I undressed him at the assembly, sitting over here talking. I'm talking to this young person. He's like, they don't know what they're talking about. I was like, and you're half dead. So now what? I'll take my chances with this young guy. What are you, like 100? He's, I'm 66. I was like, okay, you look like you're 100. Now shut up. I'm talking to this guy, right? So I undressed him in the middle of the thing. I'm not a spring chicken myself, and I'm not saying that age doesn't have a place. But what I'm saying is the only people that are letting young people talk are the retards on the left. And so you got retarded people talking to the retards, and you got really good people on our side that are young that have great ideas, and we basically relegate them to I don't know what you relegate them to.
My thought is that learned behavior comes to mind, Joe. We have situations where people are entrenched in a process over a period of time, and it becomes the norm for them. It becomes the standard, and they're unwilling to be flexible to change, and they won't allow the voice of a new vision to come in because they're threatened by that. So that's why there's again separation.
It just blows my mind. Well, I would have been out there, but I've really got to handle this thing that's going on right now. I think you guys know that I was poisoned in December of 2021 at a Clay Clark event. That's coming back to haunt me in a pretty substantial way. I remember right after it happened, too, Clay Clark made me get on a show and say, I wasn't poisoned. Now I'm like, okay, I was poisoned. It's obvious because they're like, so there's only a few ways this can happen to you. Were you ever poisoned? And I was like, yeah. Gentlemen, we've got to solve this problem with young people, and we've got to get a place where, because if young people would have shown up to that event, it would have been different. It would have been hot. Right?
I believe so, and it would have sent a message, and that's really why I wanted people there. I mean, we filled the courtroom, Joe, and we had 25 people in an overflow room when they did open it up. But boy, I had dreams of 1,000 people there, 5,000 people, and it just didn't happen. And I think, it would have sent a message to the Department of Justice and to Robin Voss, who had to roll up to testify, that we're just sick of it and we're not going to put up with this crap anymore.
You get young people to show up, and everything changes.
We did have one young man there, Joe, a young man by the name of Charlie Brown here in Wisconsin. And I probably should have talked to him because he probably could have generated some of the younger people to be there.
But he wants a seat at the table too. I mean, I hate to pivot from Harry's. Well, Harry is willing to go through what he's willing to go through, right? I'm willing to go through it. The three people on this deal, we're willing to go through it. But you get young people involved and you give them a seat at the table, and we start leading with a little bit of humility that we don't have all the answers, and man, you're going to see something happen. Just saying.
Well, and I think this young man that I'm talking about, he had started some podcasting and he was getting death threats and had pulled back from that now. And he's 14 years old.
He's what?
He's 14 years old. He had more followers than I'll probably ever have in my life.
He's 14 years old getting death threats?
Yep. He started a movement after Charlie Kirk had been assassinated and was really picking up some steam and attending events and trying to bring that youth into so that they would have that seat at the table.
You probably had a couple of them old people on oxygen that were calling, I'm going to kill you.
Who knows?
One comment I'd like to sneak in too, Joe, to your suggestion, and I couldn't agree with you more. You're right. Power in numbers, and there should be no issue with age, right? You want to open up the door for anything that sticks to the wall to get things done, right? But one of the problems I believe exists out there, and I'm certainly not a contributor to it, is the obstruction that comes from the old guard. They don't like the new way. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't like change. They're threatened by it. So in order to bring more new people in, younger as well, we've got to also eliminate some of the old guard because they're part of the problem as well.
Man, I spend an enormous amount of time with young people. I'm talking 25 to 35-ish, right? It's considerably younger than me. But I spend a lot of time with young people. And I keep myself in shape so that I can throw a football. If they want to wrestle, man, I will crush them. But I want to identify with them, and I want them to feel as if they're empowered, that there's hope, right? And when we take that off the table, and they are relegated to the young Republicans, in other words, you guys are the stupid ones. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just too young. You miss an opportunity. You miss it at hello. Just saying.
Maybe that's where I went wrong in my draft Ramthun campaign, Joe. I didn't bring enough young blood in to excite that young group.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have to make it different. I mean, you got to show up with, a bottle of bourbon in some cases, or some cigars. Every now and then you got to have some cigars, or, a golf match, or, a football, or, you have to be able, and I'm not saying that everyone plays sports. I mean, you could do it different, like a chess match. Like have the young people play the old people in chess and see how way that goes. You ever been to a park in New York City, or do you guys have a park there that you have a chess tables?
No, I'm not aware of any.
It was like a big thing on the East Coast. You'd like walk into the park and you'd sit down and you'd have timers, and boom, you'd sit there and go back and forth with an old timer. And 9 times out of 10, they'd win because they had wisdom. But it was fun, it was challenging, and it pushed the young people to become better. That's all. That's my suggestion. It's free advice. It's worth what you pay for it.
Get people to them.
So, Joe, is that how I'm going to get people to the sentencing phase of this trial?
Bourbon?
Footballs?
Big balls?
Footballs.
Footballs. Grab some footballs. Say we're going to throw some footballs out in the thing. We're going to have So I volunteered for a debate deal for 500 students that were homeschool kids, called a STOA deal. It's called a STOA debate event. And there was young people everywhere, 12 to 18, 500 of them came from across the country, right? And so I showed up this deal, and I look around, and they're throwing the Frisbee outside, and they're playing football, and they're throwing the football. And you had 500 kids that were just awesome getting together. It was invigorating. And I'm not saying you're talking to the 12 to 18-year-olds. I'm saying you're talking to 18 to 35. You go to the TP USA, you tell them about why this is important. You say, we want to give you a seat at the table. We want to give you a voice. We want you to be a part of this. We want to teach you what's happening right now so that you can actually learn to fight. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I think that if you do that, it just changes the game.
Scott, I'd like to ask, or add rather to your ask, it shouldn't just be you either. I know before the hearing, you were prominent out there in social media land suggesting everybody come, but it seemed like it was just you. And of course you would have some comments on there, but I think everybody who receives your stuff should compound the message by also sharing it too, so we can get power numbers. So I would suggest we work smarter with what we have to get more people to show up in the future.
And thank you, Tim, for that one. And Joe, I don't know what was said in those few minutes that I missed the show, but I was posting throughout the trial, and I had on all my posts combined, nearly 10,000 views on my posts. And if just a fraction of those people who sat this one out had shown up, there would have been 10 times what we had there. And it's really disheartening to me because Harry has, he put it all on the line for us, and so few people made that sacrifice to come to Racine.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I'm gonna try and be there. I should be able to be there, no problem, on the sentencing. I do know that there were several people that were on this podcast that showed up because they sent me text messages saying, "Where are you?" And I was like, well, I kind of got myself into a little bit of a pickle, but I'm hoping to get through this over the next couple of weeks.
As I understand it, it's May 27th. If that changes, we'll let you know. Scott will let you know.
That's my birthday.
In the meantime, we'll try to get the troops rallied up to get some more youth involved in some of what's going on, and to take Harry's fight further and blow it up, because we really need to make it huge, because it's everything that talks to preservation of our constitutional republic. We need more lions. We need more lions.
You get young people involved, man, and it just changes the game. They love something that's righteous, that makes them feel like they're fighting the thing, the man, right? And man, these kids are special, man. I often thought that our generation was lost, and the more I'm spending more time with them, even the guys that are, I was talking to Dez that I played football with for years, and he's from the inner city, and he's going to be a firefighter. And this is just it's not even something he would have thought about doing, and it's like he's he's focusing in on just doing great things. And so that I just got a lot of, I have a lot, they don't have the opportunity, but if we can give them some opportunity, man, I think they'll take it. That's what I think. But
well, I think that's the group that we have to target then, Tim, and I agree. And I'm bringing a football everywhere I go from now on, Joe, because if that will help me engage some younger blood as I move forward with my Draft Ramthun campaign and you know, gathering groups to bring continue carrying this torch that Harry has lit so brightly and on a problem that still exists.
Football or frisbee? Bring them both.
Both.
Bring them both. Like I am so encouraged by the fact that there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on, but we got to make young people aware of what's happening. They think it's an old man's game. It's a young man's game. The whole game is a young man's game. We just got old in the middle of it and decided that we had it handled. We don't have it handled. We need those young people. We need them. That's just my thought. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on with me today. Appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you for having me, Joe. And you'll learn one thing about me. I have technical difficulties all the time. And you remember last time I had a problem unmuting. And this went a step further. Once I unmuted, everything went to hell on me. And it just kind of follows me wherever I go. So
you need some young people. I'm telling you, these little technologists. You get like an 8-year-old. It's like.
There we go. I should have had my grandson here today.
Oh man, they make us younger, but they come up with some great ideas, don't they? I mean, they're a blessing, and we should treat them that way, frankly. My thought. Tim, it's so good to see you.
It's possible you'll see me some more.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, Scott, thank you. Tell Harry, tell Harry Big Balls, we got you.
We will. I'm sure I'll be talking to him again tonight. Yes, Tim will probably.
All right. God bless you guys.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Is it, am I wrong? I mean, do you think I'm wrong? You have somebody that was on the jury that literally said, I've lost hope in humanity, sat in a room, and it's the same problem that I'm having these conversations with people in Colorado. Last night I was talking to a guy named Jason Lupo. And Jason Lupo has been involved in the GOP. I don't know what happened. It was a couple years ago. I think it was in 2021 or 2020. I was doing an FEC United meeting. He reminded me. He's like, I'm the one that set that whole thing up. But I had him saved in my phone as okay, can we need to mute that, please? We had a saved in my phone as a GOP superstar. And so I was talking to him last night. I was like, this is crazy. I have you in my phone as a superstar. I don't know where it came from, but obviously I thought, and I haven't had that many great conversations with him, but he's a young guy. And what did I say? Oh, I called him a GOP powerhouse. Young guy. And we got to get more young people involved in this deal. And it's not just we've got to step aside from what we think values are. And let me just give you this closing argument on what I'm trying to accomplish. Young people, when I was young, man, I was full of piss and vinegar. And I wanted to fight. I wanted to fight for something. I didn't know what it was, and I wanted to be successful, and I was thirsty. But the kids today in school have not been taught to be thirsty. Not most of them. I mean, you still have the athletes. You still have the guys that went after it, get after it. But they're not taught the same vernacular. They're not hunters. They're gatherers, because they've been, in large part, most of our young people have been taught to fall in line. They've been taught to fall in line. So you have to unteach that. And you have to give them the ability to understand how much strength they have. Most of these young people have retard strength. But if we give these young people the ability to be empowered, the only people that are trying to empower them are retarded people that say, hey, walk out and do this ICE deal. And you got a whole other group in there that are like, screw off. But where's their valve? Where do those people go? I mean, you got the Candyland group over here, but But what are we doing to just cultivate these young men, these young women that frankly are just powerful? There's a woman that I met up in Grand Junction named Abigail. Her mom was there with her sister, and we were just sitting around talking, and I said, you need to run for office. I gave her my number, and I got her in touch with Darcy, and I went through this whole deal, and they're actually having a conversation, and how could she petition on? And I was like, you are the answer. These young people are the answer. And as I sit here on the podcast, I get so excited about the idea that we could have 125-year-olds inside the Senate. And get rid of the John Thunes and the people that are easily influenceable, and get people that are idealistic, that will just hunt and just do what's good for the community, because the idea of being important to the community and not betraying the community is something that they would latch onto. Or the people we have now are weak and pathetic. We need young people like Jason Bias, who ran the TPUSA up in Mesa County at the Mesa University. This young man's running for office in Colorado. Man, he's amazing young man. Now, I got kept out of a TPUSA debate that Victor Mark's supposed to show up. It turns out he's not going. So I was kept out of this deal because the Victor Marks of the world went to this young man. I feel bad for him too. I forget what his name is, but he bit off on it. He chose a side, because the old people inside the GOP and in politics, they teach these young people to pick sides and to become mean girls. Because that's what all the old people are, is just a bunch of mean girls. So last night I'm having a conversation with a bunch of different people. I call up another gubernatorial candidate for governor, and I'm just having a conversation, and I was like, hey, listen, I need this conversation between me and you. I asked a bunch of questions, and at the very end of it, I was like, and if you decide you want to betray me, there's nothing I can do about it. But I'd like to say that we're going to get to a place where we have a different type of relationship, where we're starting to look for the greater good of our community. Really leading from that idea that this is the new expectation. These are the new rules of engagement. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong, but it'd be nice. It'd be really nice if we could set aside the R's and the D's. I just proved sitting in a room with 300 women, 100 women had an abortion, and I said, if you had free health care and child care, would you have still had the abortion? 90 said no. And we're over here chasing the moral, and they're chasing the moral inability to live a life of poverty, because there's no opportunity, and you can't have things and have a baby because you have $1,500 for child care and $2,000 for health care. We could solve these problems. And people, I mean, look, I'm telling you, the poor people, the people that want opportunity, they will flock to an opportunity to be inside of a fraternity of good men and women that are doing good things for their community and offering opportunity to their brothers and sisters. They just will. All right. So that's all I got today. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Listen note score, we went up by a point, and we are literally soaring. There's so many people that are out there rebroadcasting what we're doing, and we're breaking it. So we're breaking the Rumbles of the world, and we're breaking, Spotify's been really good. I know that you guys are working on Apple Podcast, going on the video side as well. Let's get that done. I sent that email over to you. So we've got a bunch of really good things that are happening. Pill.net, obviously. And, we're on all these different sites. But I do want to tell you that you're the ambassadors of truth. You're the ones that decide whether the message is heard. So do your work. Do we have any messages you want me to read? Here we go. Harry is an example of a hero. Yes, he is. Harry's story can be everyone's story. Harry is an example of total courage. Absolutely. Jeff sent me a text message last night. He's like, I feel like you're mad at me because I said, I give you a hard time. I'm thinking to myself, I didn't think a second of it. Jeff, I'm good, bro. I'm totally good. You can take shots at me all you want. See, that's the difference between me and everybody else. I might actually call you retarded at times, and maybe you are retarded, maybe you're not, but I'm going to call you retarded. And if that hurts your feelings, then that's on you. It's not on me. Governor. Gubernatorial. What did I say? Did I say something different? Maybe I did. Gambling man, they want us dead. Yeah, they do. But not the Democrats. See, that's the difference. It's not the Democrats. It's the people that have the mic. Those are retards that parade around as Democrats. They call them the Democrat Socialists of America or communists. They're trash. But how about the guy that stood up that says, let's turn Philadelphia red, right? That's our guy, man. These are our people. We keep trying to decide who our people are. Our people are these people. They're our people. The people that are out there fighting, where the woman up there hammering, or don't talk like that here. While the ghetto rat at the very top that's sitting there trying to represent the people is just stealing money left and right and creating slaves of the people that she's supposed to be representing. So anyway, what do we got here? Is that it? Is that all? Having the courage of our conviction requires the bombast of people like Joe. We must be willing to fight because the other side wants us dead. I agree. They do want us dead. But they don't get to have us dead. All right. Let's pray it out. I do want to say this. I did not say this on the show, happy birthday, but yesterday was my daughter's birthday. So happy birthday, Micah. You know, I would like my daddy-daughter dinner. So you better hurry up and make that happen, because this whole idea that you get to disappear on your birthday and I don't get to hang out with you, that's not good. All right, Susan Rice, God bless you too. And yeah, let's pray it out, shall we? Let's do it. Yeah, Scott does rock too. Happy birthday, Mike. All right, Father God, thank you for just all of this just amazingness that we got going on around us. And I should be like really upset right now, but I'm not. There's just a lot of really good stuff that is happening in the middle of all this. There's an awakening. And I feel, Father, that we are supposed to lean into these next generations and really give them a voice and protect them and be willing to sacrifice for them and to be an example to them on what they need to protect going forward. And we've done a very poor job. We've let our kids get raised by iPads and cell phones and, you know, just do as I say, not as I do. And we haven't been the greatest example for them. And except for me and my kids. Just kidding. I know I screwed up every now and then, but I have some beautiful, amazing children, so thank you for that. But all joking aside, we're just, Father, I feel like we're at that place where we know what our mission is, and we keep trying to do it ourselves, and we know that without you, we will never get this across the finish line. So, Father, help us to lean in and depend more on you and that direction that we need to go. Help us that we may honor each other and we may seek out the young people that and give them a voice, give them the ability to sit on those front lines. There's a reason why our military is 18 to 35, that those are the ones we seek. So, Father, I just ask you to give us the ability to recognize that, to humble ourselves, and to be able to hand off that baton to these amazing young people. So I say these things, Father, humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. We got a bunch of happy birthdays for Micah. Esther says, Esther, hi, it's good to see you. Jeff, happy belated birthday. It's all my fault. I didn't say anything on here. It's nice to see Joe express some peace today. Love it. Yes, I have lots of peace. I have a lot of peace. I don't know why, but I do. 18 to 42 now. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you heard about this, but they're gonna move the age of getting into the deal up to like 50. Like I could get in. Can you imagine me running around? That'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. So anyway, guys, go have a good time. Make sure you give us a thumbs up on your way out and leave us a really good review if you're on the Apple Podcast side or the Google Podcast, one of those. But God bless you, and we'll see you soon.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back Tina Peters, break the chains that bind her tight. Hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night. Restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people. Set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong. Opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam. Reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Coomer's fraud dominions, rig design, expose the stolen votes, cross the dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed. For the have-nots, rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people. Set our great state free. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor rise up untamed. In the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through.